All right. Well, we're glad to be back and have another opportunity this evening to spend some time with you. I don't know how much you guys were blessed and enjoyed the little journey that we took into past life regression. It was certainly multifold. Uh, we got an opportunity to see some things, and I hope you came away with some different maybe perspectives about this person that has been sold as being something, only to find out that not only did those people believe that, neither did he believe that. And so I think it's so amazing what the universe is bringing forth right now. Friends, we are I don't really know how to say it any better. It's wonderful. We are in the middle of one of the most amazing times that humanity has seen for quite some time. And these things have been going on. And they've always been here, and they've always been going on. We had a long, and we've had as humanity goes, we've had a long and yet a short journey on the ethereal plane. We it's just a flash in the pan. In the course of humanity, it's seems like a really long time, and that's something I don't know how many of you have put mind to the thoughts that that to us our lifetime seems like almost an eternity. And I heard a very wise man. He made the statement. He said, "So what would you think if when you leave your body, it seems like the time you spent on earth in this life, and all the others as well, but in this life, that it was simply just like the twinkling of an eye?" And if you stop and ponder that, and you swish it around in your mouth, and you let it grow, it really can really blossom and produce a lot of good. So we've been blessed. We're seeing that the metaphysical are working. Many of you, I suspect, I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. Many of you are very similar to me and the people that are here close by me, and the people that are in Austin, Texas, that I still communicate with. Uh, Many of you may have been indoctrinated, however you want to use the term. I really don't have any desire and that's waning every day almost. I don't really have any desire. When you begin to see what religion is as the whole, it's always been here. We'll look at a lot of pieces. Uh, I don't know whether it was a useful piece of the universe's design and plan. It's highly possible that it was, but uh, to be sure and to be for certain, uh, there's been a lot uh, of bad politics go on with religion, and I say it like that. It's not just Christianity. Uh, you know, our Islam brothers over there should be. I promise you, the same awakening is going on in their ranks. This is not systemic to America. This is not just a flash in the pan thing. This is something that the spirit realm and the universe are doing and have been doing right in front of our faces for a long time. Uh, One of the worst propagandas that can be sold is that we somehow are above all the others that have ever existed. And I promise you, before I'm done with all of this information, I told uh, a friend in Austin that I recognize. I try not to, so please understand. I try not to inundate and overwhelm and overload people, because their brains usually, the breaker kicks, and then they don't really hear much past that anyways. But I can't tell you in strong enough words or wonderful enough verbiage that the journey and the path that we on, friend, are gonna produce some of the greatest changes. Some of you've already experienced them. I'm watching things that was taking months for people now. Energy is starting to function a little better, and there's a little grasp that's going on, and all of a sudden I'm beginning to watch universe orchestrate things at a much faster rate, and there's many things that, and so there again, please forgive me, my words are not always the best. I'm kind of a straightforward Texas country boy, and I just kind of say it how I see it, you know. And the old saying in Texas is, if it looks like it and smells like it, you might not want to eat it. But we were just brought up in that environment to kind of be straightforward and just say what is to say. And so I do have to, and I'm trying at as fast as I'm capable of not only changing all the pieces, but changing then those character traits and changing those things that, you know, unfortunately I've been programmed into my whole life, and many of you understand because you relate to that. In fact, sometimes those are the things that make your life the hardest, is the programming that you've had. And so there's so much going on in the world and in the realm. There's so much happening in the spirit realm, but I will tell you something, so that many of you have heard me say these things, so they're not surprising. I really hate to say that in many cases we may not have matured quite enough, because our discerning abilities, I don't think have really caught up and begun to mature, if you would. It will happen. It will happen for each of us. It will happen as time goes on, if you continue to walk, and if you will be a good student, and you will pay attention, and you will learn. It's often been said that I never say anything that doesn't have about 10 different meanings, and that's certainly true. It's not that they mean different things. It's really more the application of the things that I'm sharing with you, and that's why it kind of gets a little difficult. I get backed up because I want to go so fast, and yet fast is okay if somebody's capable, but where most of us are at, you know, we're at the beginning threshold of something that is world changing. Do you understand the world is changing? There are people in Russia, there are people in China, there are people all over this globe who spiritually something is going on inside of them. And so I know that I can speak to some of you because you recognize it. It is happening to you. Does it come the way we want? Seldom. Is it like we might plan it? Probably not. That isn't really the point. And for us, one of the points that we have to make to that is, dear friend, there is zero way that we can continue in this and not experience massive intentional change. I told you guys about a month ago, and you probably will never for a while understand the hugeness of the words that I've talked about alignment, but that word came from God. It came from the source, and we're going to talk very, very soon about some of these things, because the paradigm shifts that are going to be put in front of you over the next years are going to be so profound as far as life changing that you literally can watch yourself go from one place to another place in a time that you just couldn't imagine. That is to say that there will be a concept, a spirit, a principle, a teaching, a direction, an alignment, an intention that will be given, and I will share that, and some of you will reap of its harvest almost instantaneously. almost instantaneously. Dear one, I think it's quite safe to say that you are, if you will continue, and if your criteria is right, and we'll look at the text and I'll show you these things. It's not just me making this stuff up. It's been functioning in my life my whole life, and I've been beat about the head most of my life because there were things going on that I had no knowledge of, and unfortunately, even worse than me not having knowledge is no one that I grew up around has a clue about any of this. Although there will be some of them that all of a sudden the thing will begin in the world will begin to shift on us. And so let's first come together, because I'm stoked, and I'm sure those of you that know it know I am. And so it's absolutely the most beautiful thing in the world to me. And so we come to heart center, to the ruby, your heart chakra, and we come to the heart chakra, and we say then to each other, we say today, Namaste. So we have this opportunity in history. I've shared with you and shown you the metaphysical functioning with Dolores Cannon. I've taught teachings from ancient esoteric, and to be sure, there is much. So it's not that I'm speaking prophetically, it's that I have foreknowledge of what is coming. And discernment has a lot to do with that, but there are many other features that play into that intuition. And we're going to talk about intuition. We're going to talk about where does intuition come from, and does your definition what intuition mean really, is it really intuition? And we're going to talk about the cosmos. We're going to talk about how can we put ourselves in a place of empowerment that we may actually get to see in this lifetime. I know it's true. I've been waiting for it as the universe has waited for me. I have been waiting for this since I began my journey into Christianity 30 years ago. And Christianity did not have it. They read the Bible to you, they rehearse the stories to you, and they do absolutely nothing. It's funny, I made a statement, and so you can quote me. Others have heard me, and so they know what I'm saying is true. Christianity told you that there was a spirituality, but they never told you how to be spiritual. And many of you think that accepting the blood of Jesus and all such nonsense, which are all overrights over the true mystical teachings, that is spirituality. And I'm sorrowful to say it tonight. I certainly don't desire to make anybody feel bad, or, you know, I know that sometimes when things get exposed, people then become unbelieving. Be very careful about what you write off as not being true. One of the greatest things, and I've already begun to speak about it here and there, one of the greatest things that I would encourage you tonight is to understand that there are universal laws that have been in place since the very first, and I won't say human, I will say the very first humanoids were created. They were not us, and we are not them. They are part of us as much as we are part of them, but they were not us. Science is beginning to expose that. I keep you guys up to date on that. Well, they found a new one. The oldest man they had 4 months ago was 12,000 years, and since that's happened, all of a sudden they find a 28,000-year-old man that possesses 6 different strands of DNA than we do. That's huge. Humanity's been on this earth, if you just count in biblical times, 2,000 years, 2,500 years since the time of Yeshua, or 1 AD, and none of that knowledge has ever surfaced. and yet it has. And so it really must be taken in, and it's kind of like swimming underwater. You had to learn to find that rhythm to be able to do it without, drowning yourself, or you can only go so far. You have to learn those rhythms. The stroke where they have to turn their head. Man, if you don't get that timing right, you get a mouthful of water, and then of course you start coughing water, and you don't swim. If we're not careful, we're going to get a mouth of water, and we're not going to be able to swim. And I don't want that to happen. I'm sure it will. Please just cough the water out and begin the stroke again. So my book that I desired did not make it here. I do feel it's comfortable for me to begin this leg of this journey on our Wednesday nights. Part of that, if you would please bear with me, part of that is a protective agent for you guys, because I try really hard, because this is the midweek during school. It's very difficult for people to get all the things done and get home from work, and it gets dark early outside, and people got kids, and this really is some of the most life-changing part of our journey that and if you don't understand that, or maybe that's not resonating with you, it's okay. Just because it's not now doesn't mean it won't in the future, if you're serious about finding truth. Now, if you're just haphazardly playing with the universe and think that you can be whatever, then that's a totally different set of deals, and I really want to try to keep away from delving into that too much, because it never produces good fruit. It's only rotted fruit. Okay? Somebody you will not understand, and as we go along, there will be glimpses where the light will come on, that, without jumping into 5 things here, I said this on Saturday, so I'll just reiterate it. The universe knows what you think. The universe knows what you say. There's many pieces that now I will put along with that in just a minute. But the universe functions and operates off of unity. I'm going to make a statement to you, and some of you will ponder it. The seed will get inside of you, and it will burst and make a beautiful flower, and others, it may not even ever grow. Yeshua used that pattern. He was actually talking about truth inside of people when he used his metaphor of those seeds that were thrown out. The universe functions according to law. I said this on Saturday. We were told when Jesus was saying that the law hangs on these 2 things: love God with all your heart, all your mind, and all yourself, and that then the second part of the law is love your neighbor as you love yourself. So he's encompassed everything in that statement, but he wasn't talking about the Torah. They took that and they intentionally manipulated the understanding of that statement from a metaphysical, which Christianity has been fighting for over 2,000 years to destroy this. There is now some recorded history that the Catholic Church, the beginning of it, is what burnt the library in Alexandria. There were people that were taking, so this really plays off like a coup in the United States, right? There's a Russia collusion hoax, And we're told that it's the truth, only to find out 5 years later that actually the whole thing was a concocted coup to stop a person who was elected from becoming president by the people that held power. This is exactly the ramifications of that same thing. They were taking copies. They exist right now in what is now called the Vatican Library. There are texts in the Vatican Library that came from Alexandria, the largest collection of knowledge that has ever existed on this world. And it's really infinitely worse than that. When you begin, friends, this is not a conspiracy theory. These are all conspiracy facts. There was a conspiracy, and it has been against humanity. And so what's happening, the advent of AI, the advent of social media, the advent of doors open and the lines that connect is absolutely happening right now. Not that they didn't have this, and we'll talk about that before it's over with, because it was. It just wasn't at the speed at which it functions now. So that is to say, those who were gifted, those who were part of the hidden, those people knew the things that I'm going to, over the next while, that I'm going to show you. You will come away and have more true wisdom than you've ever functioned with in your whole lifetime. And so we have a whole concept that has gone on. And we were strapped into a bubble, and for our purposes tonight, I will call the bubble Christianity. I could also call it Christian society, because you're still hidden even if you're not per se a Christian follower, because you are living in a Christian society. So you are being seeded by people who have nothing but false truth to seed, and you hear those words. Some of you have your whole life struggled with Christianity. Some of you have your whole life struggled with things that have been said. And I'm here to tell you, dear one, by the time that we get a year down the road, you will be blown away by how difficult it is to trip you up anymore. This is about the exposure. My journey is the exposure of true humanity and true knowledge and true wisdom. You say, well, how do you know it's the truth? If I have to explain how you know something is the truth, then you will never understand it. And so the stage, the universe has been setting the stage even about this. Because we can, and so now we have a sect that says nobody can do it, only you can do it for yourself. And that is a true statement, but that's a true statement that has to be put into context, and the context does not make that mean what most New Age teachers make that mean. It's the same ploy that Christianity used. We'll give you the words, but we're also going to give you the dictionary that tells you what those words mean. And once you read the dictionary and you get the word, you're doomed. Because that's the only way you will be able to see that picture. Unless there is a force that is functioning. And thank goodness, thank the universe that there is something that is functioning that is capable of leading us. Man, I don't know, guys. I'm just like right now, my head is throbbing and my heart is pounding. It's absolutely amazing what's been going on personally for me. So, what if I told you that for thousands of years, in every culture that has existed on the face of the earth, there was divine truth that ruled. And I will tell you that, and it will be a true statement. It's quite amazing that the most ancient humanoids, even though they have 6 pieces of their DNA which are totally different, which actually makes them non-humanoid, according to our humanity. They weren't us. They had resemblances of us. We are a morphing of them. The morphing was done by spirit beings who played with our DNA over the last 100,000 years, and every time that humanity begins to blossom, if you would, the archons, the beings, the spirit beings that exist that you're going to find out are just as real as what you think real is. Every time humanity begins to excel, they change something about us. Do you know why? Because it's exactly the same principle of what Christianity did to the Word. See, the Logos, the Word, is how everything came into being. That's why when you read the Bible, you have a Christian perspective. When John says, John, who was a mystic big time, and John says, in the beginning was the Word, the Logos is actually the Greek word used there. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And look at the little significance we give to the words that were God. You've been told that that was Jesus, haven't you? And it was no more Jesus than it is us. What if I shook that up to you tonight and I told you, I just spilled a piece of the beans and I told you, you possess every power that Jesus ever possessed already. You can't even allow yourself, most of you can't even allow yourself to believe that. I mean, it's like, how dare you with this heresy tell me that I'm as good as Jesus? You would think that would start a Holy Ghost revival and people be dancing and shaking and rolling in the floors and yeah, some of you have no clue. Some that have been with me know what goes on in Pentecostal churches. But it's really, okay, so I have to keep stopping and going back because little pieces are huge. Friends, I would love to share with you tonight the reality that we are infinitely more than we have any clue of. There has been imposed on humanity, I'm going to state it as this for tonight, the great forgetting. Do you know why Christianity took all the books away? Because they were part of the great forgetting. See, if you take let's go to the Bible. Let's use a Bible story as a piece of our message tonight. There was a guy named Samson. Now, all of you have read the story of Samson, but I would like to tell you, whether Samson existed literally is irrelevant, because the principle is exactly the same. And so, if I could get you just in your mind's eye for a few minutes that we have together here, if I could get you, if you'll play a game with me, and if you would begin to, for a split millisecond, if you can get a split millisecond, give yourself 2 milliseconds to focus on this attention. And what if I made a statement to you that you are Samson? Stop and think about it. Stop and think about it. Put that into your hypothetical game that we're going to play together because we all love each other. I promise I won't hurt you. I will hurt you because I'm going to mess up some things that you hold very dear. But it's not going to be a hurt to you. It actually will be a blessing. So we get a metaphoric picture out of Samson. He was something, so let me read the story to you metaphysically. Samson was something special, supernatural, amazing, overwhelming that was put on this earth. Remember, he was a judge. Okay? He lived by the Nazirite vow his whole life. No alcohol, no touching dead animals, none of those things. Those are all metaphoric pieces that are supposed to be you. And so Samson was this thing that was supernaturally created. And he had a knowledge that he was supernaturally created because he possessed this great strength that no one else did. And that's where the story then has been deviated. But the reality is Samson was a metaphor preacher to show us what every one of us are. So dare yourself to ask yourself, dare yourself to even say to yourself, I am as great as Samson. What did they do to Samson? They set the stage behind his back because of his great power. They set the stage behind his back to do something to weaken him. Where does this also come into play? Paul quotes another metaphor where he talks about that this person was taken control of. Yeshua speaks of it when he says that you cannot take control of a strong man unless you catch him in a weak time. All the same metaphor, all to tell us across hundreds of years, all to tell us who we are. The fingers, the strands are all over the Bible to give you pictures of who you are and who humanity is, but you don't understand it because the book that you learned it from was defined as Christian. They robbed you. And so Samson had all of this great strength, but there was a weakness that Samson has, and they played to that weakness. And what were they able to do? They were able to bring humanity low. All they needed to do was to find out what it took to take his power away from him. And they worked diligently to accomplish that. Yet again, another metaphor for you. The reason that the man 24,000 years ago has 6 different pieces of DNA that you do not was because the beings set about to weaken Samson. That was their way of cutting his hair off. Science is proving that, friends. This is not in the 1800s when Helena Blavatsky lived and everybody said she was a liar and a falsehood. Now you can go cut the TV on and find 500 people on YouTube right now that are channeling messages from the other side. She didn't live in that realm. She lived in a time when you were called a heretic. And we don't. And so the Samson syndrome is the syndrome of humanity. And it's amazing to me how few people get excited in a positive manner when they find out that the things that they've thought in their hearts and the things that they've gone through and not been able to understand, that now that stuff begins to make sense because all of a sudden you begin to find out that there have been spirit forces at work trying to keep us from knowing who we are. The forgetting is not fake. Just as when you come into a body, you forget what the spirit realm looks like most of the time. But it never does completely work because people have psychic abilities that come from the other side. In fact, the truth be known, dear one, we can, should, and will be, many people will be sharing in. One of the problems that I have with channelers is the channelers are being set up is the Kenneth Copelands and the Free Flow Dollars and the other Christian preachers. Only I have the truth and none of you have it. And that is true right now maybe, but it's not the truth. And so, unfortunately, as I said, when I came out of Christianity, I did not want to get into Judaism. Why? Because I knew that I was moving from one false system into another false system. And I promise you, I don't want to go into New Age. It's love, powerful, profound. We don't even have an understanding at this point of the power that true love has. But I promise you, before it's over with, there's going to be some of you that are going to wake up and the world is going to be different for you. And it's going to happen that fast. It is coming. It is happening right now. And so, let me see if I'm getting this right for you. So in case you didn't get the metaphors in the speak. I am then saying to any humanity that comes along this little YouTube nobody channel, I am telling you tonight that you are as great as Yeshua was, plain and simple. No icing on it. Doesn't need some special flavoring. Here's what it has to have. And so this then ties to the next layer. What it has to have is true, unfettered belief. And I would dare say none of you at this point possess that. Probably nor do I at the purest form. But that's okay because we're on a journey. And so what is going on is that all around the world, people are starting to remember. Some of you, when we first started on this vein and we were looking at the near-death experiences are good, and I believe they're a tool being used by the supernatural to also awaken people that you are spirit. So they're like whatever is the antidote to melatonin when you got to get up early in the morning and you really want to stay in bed. About the same thing. You're asleep, and we need something to wake us up. And so we are being exposed little by little by little by little by little. There could be a differentiation made, and so this is one of them bombs like Trump drops that I'm going to drop. It may end up being, before this is over with, a false teaching, at least in part, that you already possess everything in you. I know I'm 10 miles down the road in front of you, okay? But I wanted to, it's a shock drop. So here's what I mean. If you and I come to the full consciousness of the reality of the universe, we will recognize that we do not need to possess everything in us. So, if I could draw pictures for you, you know, one of the things where they draw the colorful pictures while the person's talking, that would probably help. So, what science is finding out, what the spiritualists, Blavatsky knew this and wrote of it. We're going to read it. Just as these teachings are metaphysical pieces from another time, which I learned some new information about the Dead Sea Scrolls today that is absolutely mind-shattering. We have been told our whole life that we possess intelligence, and that's not true. We view it as that from our carnal, worldly understanding self. It's the only way that it can be explained to us so that we can see it. But as a typical rule of thumb, what it really means is the person that is high of intelligence is high of intelligence because of their consciousness. It is also because of their connection or ability to intersect with the realm. So you think that in Donald Trump's head, his 165 IQ is like his brain is this big, but he has a computer in there that's this big, and your brain is this big, but you only have a computer this big. They thought the same thing about Einstein. Just so that you know, I'm gonna also put this seed in there. Einstein, it is said of him that when he picked up the first Helena Blavatsky book, he never put it down until he finished it. He read the whole book in one setting because he knew what he was reading was truth. So here's the picture that I'm painting for you. For some of you, your minds, it will be too far-fetched. It's okay. You don't have to have a knee-jerk reaction. It's not going to change the world if you don't get all the fundamental things today. We got lots of time. Okay? And I would like that to be your heart and your thought process. It will begin to make you be a different person. You will. I've noticed and I've met that there are people, some of them it happens in the first connection, but I know lots of people, and there's people with them that have not changed at all. So we have been told by science up until now, although that's totally changed, we have been told that we possess knowledge and it stays inside of our mind. That's not the truth. What is the truth is that it's not actually inside of you, although it may be in one way of saying that. But all of the intelligence that has ever existed on this earth as it is accessible all the time. You will find many times the Akash, which is the storage place of all that has ever happened, can be accessed. We now have people that are channeling the Akashic record. They go into the Akashic record and they pull a drawer, metaphorically, they pull a drawer open and they can see a human's life. Everything is energy. Everything. Science told us, although Einstein did not prescribe to this, and many things that he did prescribe to, he changed his mind after his studies. We are told that everything breaks down to the atoms. Mariana taught my grandkids that because that's what science tells us. Science is now recognizing that that is not, nor has it ever been, true. Everything is energy, and everything is always moving. So, dig this in the simplest terms. If everything is energy and energy is always moving, then where does knowledge exist? Everything's energy. Knowledge is energy. So where does it exist? Can you see it? No. When somebody opens their mouth and speaks, if I get a download from the other side and I come up here, I've done it 1,000 times, and I sit down and I speak words that I myself don't even understand, only to find that months or years later, they're proven that what I said was 100% correct. Where did I get that? Where did it come from? And the truth, dear one, is that it's everywhere. So, what am I saying then? We have a picture that it is something that we can possess. There is no reason for it other than ego, and ego is one still and will be one of the most destructive things about a human. It's how they destroy their self, is ego. You are destroying. You may hurt other people, but you're destroying yourself. When you see the reality of this, I promise you, if you have a heart that believes and desires truth, you will begin to change the very day that this hits your spirit. But what we have been taught is that we learn things through repetition. That we have to go to colleges and we have to sit up and do speed and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee for 4 years so we can get a degree and be labored in bondage so that we can learn something. Many of you know because you've been there. Mariana's shaking her head because she knows she has 2 degrees. I promise you she was as diligent a studier as there was. So what am I again saying? If I were to sow to you a truth tonight, and I'm going to, I had set out truths that I was going to share, and I've shared most of those. They all tie together, so it's not one or the other. Here's the thought in leaving tonight that I would like to leave with you. What if you begin to understand that the reality is that all truth is everywhere all the time? Well, then you might ask yourself, well, why come we don't have it? If it's all things everywhere and it's everywhere, there's no place that it's not, then why don't we have it? And I would tell you that we do. You're just not aware of it. You have no consciousness of it. So you are in an unconscious state in what you believe to be your consciousness. Now, let me sow a seed that will help you towards true consciousness. When you begin to recognize that every one of us, are like radios. This is the best picture. It's so simple. Some of you are going to go like this here in a minute, and it's going to shock you what the next few days bring. If you do, please send me a comment back and let me know. But here's the thing I want you to see today. Every one of us have the ability. I told you about telepathy. Now science is saying there is proof that humanity has always been telepathic. They have been doing science work for 50 years using telepathy. They know that what I said to you was true. We are telepathic. But you've forgotten. You don't know it because you don't know it. Does that make it any less the truth? And the answer is no, it doesn't. What you don't know does not make truth not truth. It just simply means you don't know it. It doesn't change truth at all. And so when you begin to walk through this world, and I've already seen some glimpses of it, quite amazing, to be quite honest with you. All these people trying to do acid so they can see colors, so they can have a spiritual trip. This thing right here blows all of that crap out of the water. None of it's necessary. What's necessary is your belief and your alignment with Source. That's what's necessary. And what's absolutely wonderful and amazing is that history tells us that in the ancient past times, that they actually taught and practiced all of the things that we're going to be talking about, and the people were quite functioning in it. Remember, Saudi said that all of the priests and all of the learned ones in Qumran, that they all knew how to manipulate energy. They all knew how to see through, and they could talk telepath. He covered every bit of this, friend. And now science is proving that that's true about Qumran. It was a mystic society. That's something that I found today. But here is the reality. You get in your car and you turn the car on and you cut the radio on. Can you see that signal go to that radio? No, you can't. Is there ways we can measure it and see it with electronics? Yes. But you as a physical human being cannot see that signal going into that receiver. And I'm going to say to you, your mind, when you will begin to recognize and then begin to fully understand that your mind is nothing but a radio. You are a talking head. That's why the band, the Talking Head, is like they are. There is actually a metaphysical truth in what they are teaching in their music. You are a talking head. That's all. You're simply a radio receiver on the top of a body. And those signals are everywhere all the time. Now, maybe that doesn't resonate, or maybe you don't even get what I'm talking about. That's okay. It doesn't change the truth. And so if we would begin to have a paradigm shift inside of ourselves, that things are starting to change and that we are starting to remember things. If you have had situations all through your life, most probably, if you've had them all through your life, of deja vu, well, now you can even understand a little better why you have deja vu. It's not because it's something that your mind is making, it's something that your mind is remembering. It came out of the Ethernet, if you would, the Akash. And so, when you begin to grab this, you begin to recognize that there's a whole lot less you need to do a whole lot more. And so, one of the first things I think that really made a huge difference for me was when I began to look at the world and recognize that I, as an antenna, have the availability to every knowledge that's ever existed out there. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to learn all the procedures. So as I said, these people were very versed in teaching specific ways. It goes to things about, Om. I remember as a kid growing up and all of the Americans laughing at the people that meditate and sit around and say, Om, Om, Om. And friend, you have no idea spiritually what that vibration in your human body, what it actually attracts to you. And so here's one of the things that you might want to get. Helena said that one of the most horribly damning things to a human being is your lack of resolve. That a yes-no is the most destructive decision that you can ever make. Because the universe sees you as confusion. All of you people who live your lives walking around in indecision saying, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Every one of you people that live like that, the universe sees you as dissolution. And people who are very straightforward, it's a part of the reason why Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is one-minded. Does anybody remember in the Bible there is a teaching? This gets really infinitely more than you had a clue of. This is a metaphysical teaching. But do you remember your preacher, maybe if he is any kind of a preacher at all, I know he said this at least once a year, but when you read the scriptures, you find out that a double-minded man is double-minded in all of his ways. Do any of you remember that verse? Did you know that it's talking about you and your vibration? It had nothing to do with what we were told in Christianity is the universe, friends, reads you like either a good or a bad book. If you are clear and you are in alignment, the universe brings all the good stuff to you. If you are indecisive, can't figure out where you are or what you want, or you lived in a state of confusion most of your life, you have probably had a really horrible life and nothing seems to work very well for you, and it is because that is what that chaos is causing, and the universe reads that and brings you chaotic life. Now that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. So, many people would like that it would go back to just simply that the blood of Jesus washes you and cleans you from all unrighteous, although you're just as unrighteous in your behaviors after that supposedly happens. I knew many people that have been baptized 5 or 6 times. Some of them I've baptized 2 or 3 times, and they're so fractured inside, they're 5 people inside of a body. None of it helped them. It couldn't. The universe is going to keep bringing them fractal life. And so, for every one of you today that would be willing to maybe recognize that this is huge, you then can already begin to take, and I promise you it won't take long for you to start seeing little changes. It won't take long for you to recognize that the universe is functioning. And that unfortunately, and I recognize now even more, that it's not that we intentionally do the things. So my words, I have a little bit different perspective tonight than I've had in the past about you're causing this. You are, but it's not like you are intentionally causing it. But you have been orchestrating, you have been creating your life by your fractured mind. You have been sending fractured signals, and the universe is responding in fractured signals. That's how this thing is. It's gonna blow your mind. This thing is so, man, they did a good job about hiding the truth from us. There's no way that they could touch us. There is no way that they could touch us. If we ever find who we truly are, there won't be any sickness. All the things Yeshua taught are absolutely true, but they're not true in the Christian context. You can learn to do everything that he did. And if you'll notice from Anna's words, most of the things he did out of what? Where did they come? They came from his heart, right? From his compassion for other human beings. Why? Because he was in alignment with God. God loves all humans. And when we align ourselves with loving humans, we are being God on this earth. Wow. So I think that's more than enough. Some of you, if you got something out of it, as I said, the rate that you are willing to swallow, ponder, meditate, contemplate will be the determiner of how quickly you move. And so I hope you guys have been blessed. I hope I haven't totally overwhelmed you, although I've shared a lot. But I would like to tell you that I love you. This is great. It's wonderful. Life is amazing. Doesn't matter what happens to us. What matters is what happens from us. And so if you begin to accept the responsibility for that, you will begin to watch the universe change what comes to you. And it can happen very quickly. So peace to each and every one of you, to a heart center. And I say to you guys tonight, namaste.